just looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up for the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the third!
The timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks Sixers right here on DSM Media. If you're not already subscribed to DSM Media, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And don't forget, turn those notifications on. Ring the bell. If you are in Philly, this is what this channel is all about. If not, we do cover the NBA, the entire NFL. We go across the board on the whole sports spectrum. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn the notifications on so you're notified every single time DSM Media goes live. And, of course, comment on right here on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever the case may be. I will get the comments uploaded right here. We'll get you on the screen, and we'll certainly address any thoughts that you may have on the Sixers, on that Sixers-Bucks game last night, or anything else that we're going to get into here today. I do apologize. Obviously, it's starting a little late here. I'm just trying to get everything together. If you really want to know what I was doing for that 5 minutes where we were on the loading screen there, I was actually working the NBA trade machine because obviously we had some Tobias Harris rumors pop up. Wanted to see, what magic I could work as a GM. Not like it means anything, but nonetheless have a few hypothetical trades for you guys to kind of gander over that actually work for Tobias Harris. I'm not under the belief that they will actually trade Tobias Harris. I'm not under the belief that it will actually benefit the Philadelphia 76ers. But nonetheless, we have to entertain it. It is being talked about, so we will address it. Along with that, we're going to talk about Maxey, obviously the injury last night. That's very concerning and has me a little worried, right? And it should have everybody a little worried because this season can go really south as far as direction. If he's out for an extended period of time, along with Harden, you had Tobias Harris out last night with a sore hip, whatever that means. So Maxey injury is the last thing that we needed last night. Nonetheless, the Sixers get a W, and I'm seeing Joel Embiid elevate to a higher plane of play right now, and we're going to discuss that. That's going to be the main topic of this show. I don't want to focus on the negativity too much. Because we are coming off a win and we are in the middle of a 3-game winning streak with another game lined up tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. So taking advantage of this home stretch here and getting as many W's as they can, it is super important. Aside from that, we'll obviously, talk about Embiid's dominance, Tobias trade talks, Maxey, Harden returning within a couple weeks. It seems like, right? Hopefully no setbacks. And then we'll talk about the Sixers bench and kind of Doc pressing the right buttons lately, in a sense, knock on wood. We don't know how long that will last, but we're going to get into all of that. We'll talk about the game last night and really get the vibes right and get you guys set up for this upcoming week of Sixers basketball because it's actually fairly busy compared to this previous week that we had where, you had a game on Sunday against the Jazz, and then you didn't have another game until last night, and now we finally got a back-to-back game tonight against the T-Wolves. So it wasn't a ton of action this week. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this show today just because of that. There wasn't a ton to go over. But let's go ahead and get started. Before we do that, obviously I have to shout out our sponsors over at Gents Barber Lounge. As you know, DSM Media is partnered with Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of the 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft and it shows, rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area. Multiple award-winning barbers and being able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Take a look at some of Gents Barbershop's work right now. All right. Shout out to Gents Barber Lounge. As you know, DSM Media is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Be sure to book your appointment in Old City or Fishtown today. As you should know by now as well, DSM Media is also brought to you by Luxodin.com. Be sure to check out Luxodin.com. You can find some of the finest jewelry on the internet for a nice price. be sure to use code DSM for free shipping and 25% off at checkout. Once again, that's Luxodin.com, code DSM for 25% off and free shipping at checkout. Housekeeping's done, guys. Let's get into the meat of the show here. So obviously, I want to start with last night's win. Big win, guys. I know there's some negatives to take out of this game, obviously the Maxey injury, but this is a huge win, and this is a step in the right direction. This is a win that you normally don't see the Sixers grab, quite honestly. You go on the back-to-back last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, get 2 back-to-back wins at home against the Atlanta Hawks, against the Utah Jazz. You had a 4-day break. You come out on Friday night, you have a home game against the Milwaukee Bucks. The 11-3 Milwaukee Bucks come into the Wells Fargo Center. Giannis, Drew Holiday was a late entry into the game. I didn't even know that he was going to play before we went into that one last night. So they had Drew Holiday back. No excuses there. Obviously, he didn't play his full amount. He didn't come in until the beginning of the second quarter, of course. But nonetheless, the Milwaukee Bucks, that's a team that we all would consider, I would imagine, having a great chance at winning the NBA championship this year. Definitely having a chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals once again. And so it's a big win. It's it. You know what I mean? That's it. We don't have to overcomplicate this win. It's a huge win at home. You did what you're supposed to do. Obviously, the Bucks are down a few guys. Chris Middleton being, to be specific. The Sixers down James Harden, Tobias Harris. Tyrese Maxey goes down at half in the first half in this game. Huge win that the Sixers just typically don't get, and it gives me a bolt of confidence in a sense of the Sixers don't do this very often. Like, Embiid showed up last night. Me and Dylan talked about this on Sixers pregame going into that game last night. Embiid has this monster weekend against the Atlanta Hawks and the Utah Jazz, has that monster night, career high night, 59 points against the Utah Jazz, who quite honestly just don't have anybody to guard Embiid. Like, let's be honest, there's no matchup on Utah. You could even say that for the Atlanta Hawks. I know Clint Capella is solid, but still not much of a matchup for Embiid. Compared to the Milwaukee Bucks, who have Giannis, who can sometimes guard Embiid. He's not great at guarding Embiid. Let's be clear there. Brook Lopez is the guy that spends most of the time on Embiid whenever the Milwaukee Bucks play the Sixers, and he guards him well. He's got a big body. He gets discredited for his defense, but he plays very good defense on Embiid, stays straight up, is able to go straight up in the air with him. And if Embiid is lacking energy, if he's tired, Brook Lopez will take advantage of Embiid. And so that's not a matchup that, Embiid just completely dominates all the time. So we went into this game ahead of time, saying we need to see Embiid from last weekend, but tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks, a top team in the NBA. Mind you, the Atlanta Hawks, the Utah Jazz are playing some really good basketball. It's not a shot at them. They're not on the level of the Milwaukee Bucks, let's be honest. And I know the Milwaukee Bucks are injured, but it's more of the Milwaukee Bucks have culture, right? And that's kind of what I'm getting at here. It doesn't matter necessarily who is out for the Milwaukee Bucks. They will always have a chance to win the game if Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing, right? So to see the Sixers start out kind of slow in this game, right? Giannis came out, he was on fire. The Bucks team was on fire. They were hitting threes. They guard the three ball really well, right? But the Sixers were able to balance out. Ultimately, Tyrese Maxey kept them afloat in the first half. Obviously, unfortunately, he rolled his ankle. He kept them afloat in the first half, and that allowed for Embiid to kind of take over the second half and really get them through and get this W. And it was just great to see Embiid show up on the big stage and in the big moment. Yeah, it's tough, man. The flagrant on Embiid, and Doris Burke was like going hizzy with the flagrant 2. She wanted him like kicked out of the game. I get it. It's a non-basketball play, and I'm not going to argue that. It's a dirty play. I'm not going to argue that. It's not, once again, not something you want to see Embiid doing. He got away with that tripping foul. I forget who that was against. Who did he trip? Was that the Atlanta Hawks that he like literally stuck his foot out and tripped somebody? These are not good looks for Embiid. I just want to be clear. I don't support those acts by Embiid. And quite literally, that's part of this. You need to grow up a little bit, right? Show a little bit more maturity, move away from that. We don't need a Grayson Allen, but in the form of Embiid, right? Like that's just we really don't need that. But I'm with you. The flagrant one, it wasn't a good look. He gives him the chicken wing into Giannis's rib cage. Giannis obviously grimaces a little bit, and it wasn't a basketball play. I will say, in this specific situation, when you stick your foot out, there's no excuse for tripping someone. In this situation, you got Giannis coming at you full speed. Maybe just want to stop him. I don't know. I'm not saying that it was the right thing to do at all. Honestly, I agree with you. It's not a good look regardless. But when you got Giannis coming at you full speed, you kind of might just do anything to stop him. But no, it wasn't a basketball play, and that's definitely not what we want to see from Embiid. Which we can go on the other side to Giannis and what he did after the game, and I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Because we'll get into that in a little bit here. I want to save that for the end just because that's really not Sixers talk. That's more overall NBA talk. But I did think, Giannis was a little out of place at the end of the game there. Yeah, epic game, right? Both teams down a few players, right? So it's not the full scale matchup that you want to see. But nonetheless, mano a mano, Embiid versus Giannis. Let's get it. They went to war last night, and Embiid was able to take over the game and ultimately bring it home. Giannis wasn't very successful in the fourth quarter. Those free throws came back to bite him. He looked like he hit like a Ben Simmons wall last night, giving away Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. And how about the national? I don't know if you guys listen to the national broadcast, but my God, they're just so clueless when it comes to they just don't do enough research going into games, in my opinion. They're just very amateurish when they speak about these certain teams and things that are going on for these teams. That's a whole different subject, though. But Giannis, 4 for 15 from the free throw line. You can't win like that, right? You can't play confidently when you're shooting that bad from the free throw line. You saw it last night. He's pulling up for deep threes. That's not your game, bro. And the reason that he isn't able to do that, or the reason that he was taking those shots, is because he wasn't confident to go drive in the lane and get fouled. That's all I can accumulate that to. It looked like a lack of confidence to go and play your game, get to the free throw line, because Giannis gets to the free throw line a lot. And he was scared to go there because he couldn't hit the side of a barn last night, quite frankly. And it was a little weird to see, because I thought that Giannis kind of got over that hump with the free throws. It is a bit of a mental thing. You see him pull up for jumpers. It is just a mental thing, slowing it down. But it's almost like he slows it down too much. All the dribbling, the fake shot. You see him after the game when he's shooting free throws, he's draining them. He's just literally taking one dribble and shoot it. It needs to be more fluid. He needs a better shooting coach when it comes to free throws. But yeah, I thought Giannis was a little out of place. I saw everybody kind of talking about Giannis and the ladder thing, Montrezl Harrell. I thought that was a little out of place of Giannis. If you want to get shots up, I totally understand that. That's fine. Even in an away gym, if they're not bringing the nets up, if they're not bringing the hoops up, they're not taking the floor off the ground for the next event, that's fine. I think it's fine. You are entitled to go out there and shoot hoops as long as you're able to. But this is not Milwaukee. This is Philadelphia, my brother. This is Wells Fargo Center. This is not even the Sixers arena. This is not solely the Sixers arena. This is the Flyers arena. This is for music events. This is for a bunch of different events that go on in the Wells Fargo Center. And when I see Montrezl Harrell, fine, you can argue that he's out of place too, going and taking the ball from him. But Montrezl Harrell, if he's ultimately looking out for the employees that he works with every day when he comes into the Wells Fargo Center, I can't blame him for that either. The mute point is Montrezl Harrell going to the other side of the court and shooting around himself. So if that's the case, it's a little childish there on Montrezl Harrell's part. But that doesn't mean Giannis gets to go up to the workers of the Wells Fargo Center and push a ladder down, endanger other people that are within the arena. And makes sense. So maybe they weren't even trying to take the basket down, and he was just jumping the gun a little bit, not letting them do their job nonetheless. And at the end of the day, I get it. He's trying to get up hoops. Everybody's like, oh, you're hating on greatness and you don't want him to get better. You're ruining the Mamba mentality. You can literally get on your jet, go back to Milwaukee, and shoot free throws there, bro. it's not that serious. It's not that deep. Like, we don't owe you anything in Wells Fargo Center or in Philadelphia. And my main thing is, you think this shit is going to fly in Philadelphia. This is a blue-collar city. Like, these are workers. These are hard labor workers in the Wells Fargo Center, and they're trying to do their job. Literally, whether they're trying to get to the next event, trying to shut everything down for the night, who knows? They could have a long-ass day today lined up with the Sixers playing, the Flyers playing again. Like, it's so self-entitled, and I hated to see it. In my eyes, man, I get it if you're a Giannis fan. I don't like the dude. He's like the most fake, humble guy that I've ever seen. And mind you, Embiid has the arrogance. Yes, he's immature. So he's not the greatest role model to even dispute with Giannis, but I'm not a fan of Giannis in a sense. Flyers are away. Fair enough. I just think it was out of pocket. That's a good way to put it, Chile. He was wrong. Just be a good dude, plain and simple. Yeah, I agree with that. And maybe I'm jumping the gun on Giannis, calling him the fakest humble guy. I just, there's certain things about him that bother me at times. You know, the whole sitting on the court last season. You sit on our court, now you're trying to tell our workers what to do. Like, dude, get out of here, man. But let me move on. Let's move on to the actual content of the game. That's all side talk, drama, stuff we don't need to really deal with. Some things I want to take a look at. Obviously, Embiid, we're going to take a look at him. His play lately is just been elevated, and this is what I want to see from Embiid. The last 4 of 5 games, I would say, is what I want to see from Embiid. Yes, we're going to talk about the Maxey 24 in the first half. It's so sad, right? We just can't have anything, because where was that game going for Maxey last night? He was balling. Me and Dylan talked about Maxey in the show leading up to this, the Sixers pregame, and he hit every notch that we were asking him to hit. Like the rebounds, 4 rebounds in the first half, 5 assists in the first half, 3 threes in the first half, 24 points. He was literally playing Robin to Embiid's. He was playing Batman. He wasn't being Robin in the first half. He was literally Batman, and Embiid was Robin in that case. But it sucks to see him go down, man. And I'm telling you right now, if this is an extended injury, it's going to be this is going to be miserable. Like, Maxey brings so much excitement to this team. And mind you, Embiid brings it too. But Maxey is just like this ray of sunshine. He's the young prospect that's actually fulfilling his duty, his prophecy, right, that within the Sixers realm. And to see him go down, obviously it has to be something serious for him to not come back out there. We know he's a young, strong, hard worker. If he could play through that injury, you guarantee that he would, right? Against the Bucks on a Friday night at home, he would play through that injury if he could. So it worries me. The fact that you have to get an MRI today, it worries me. Is it a broken foot? Is it a severe ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain? It worries me, because all of those things can keep him out for multiple weeks, even up to months. And we just can't afford that with James Harden out right now, right? Tobias Harris was out with a sore hip. Hips are serious. Like a sore hip. I don't know how you got that, Tobias, but a hip injury is pretty serious as far as your mobility. So I'm hoping that Tobias is okay, especially with this Maxey injury now. But what do you do from the guard spot if Maxey is down and out for a couple weeks, a month, whatever the case may be? You cannot simply run with D'Anthony Melton and Shake Milton. They played excellent last night, by the way. We'll talk about them a little bit here later on. But you can't run with just strictly Shake Milton and D'Anthony Melton as your guards. That's not going to work. Daniel House starting, Matisse Thybulle start. That's not going to work. You need ball handlers, and they're going to have to step outside the box if Maxey is really beat up here and not able to go over the next week or so. Maybe one game you can get by tonight. Obviously, Maxey won't play tonight. We'll see if Tobias is back tonight. But as you get through the next week or so, hopefully we see Maxey back. Because I don't – it's a head scratcher. I don't know where you go after that. Jaden Springer? I guess you're trying to build something here as well. You got 3 wins in a row. Do you go Jaden Springer, or do you go out, try to sign a vet? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it starts with the injury report from Maxey. What's he looking like today? How's that MRI go? Hopefully it's negative. Hopefully nothing serious, no structural damage. And, hopefully maybe a week max. We can get Maxey back 2 weeks. Espresso iced coffee, man. It is so good. Starbucks version. Had to take a sip there. Gives me my energy. But looking at Embiid, this is what I talked about before the season started with Embiid. And it's the next step in his evolution, the next step to make him as great as he can be. And if you watched last night, specifically that fourth quarter, I saw, I think it was DJ Eastwood. And I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, but running back Philly. I believe he tweeted it out maybe this morning or last night. Embiid must have been watching Jokic. And this isn't some distant. There's one part of his game that was lacking. It was passing, right? And he's looking like a great passer this season, especially in the latest games, the last 5 specifically. So when you look at the keys for the Sixers winning, you look at the keys for Embiid to be as successful as possible. You can look at his last 5 games. So last night, obviously, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. That's the key there. 8 assists, 3 blocks versus the Milwaukee Bucks. All across the board, right? 32 points, magnificent. That's what he averages on the season right now. That's second in the NBA. 11 rebounds. That's what he averages on the season right now. That's perfect. 8 assists. That's beautiful. But then when you start to stack it with these other games that he's had in the last week or so, that's when it really starts to click for you as far as what's working for the Sixers. The 3 blocks, that just shows me Embiid is completely engaged. He is active on the defensive end, on the offensive end. He's engaged in all facets of the game at this point, right? So in the game on last Sunday against Utah, 59 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocks. Yeah, 7 blocks. Ridiculous. But the 59 points, obviously, that's his career high. That's magnificent in itself. 10 rebounds, once again. That's what he averages on the season. 11 rebounds, what he averages on the season. 8 assists. Back-to-back 8 assist games for Embiid. Back-to-back borderline triple-doubles for Embiid. If you count the Utah, that's a borderline quadruple-double with the 7 blocks. And once again, he's engaged on the defensive end. He's getting blocks. He's attacking. He's being aggressive. He's being the anchor. And this is the best version of Embiid. So you go to the next game against Atlanta on that following set or the previous Saturday. 42 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, in a win against Atlanta. Go to the previous game. This is where you can kind of differentiate, right? So then the game before that was also against Atlanta. In Atlanta, he had 26 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, and a loss. Then you go to the game before that against Phoenix. That was at home that Monday before. He had 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, in a win over Phoenix. So if you see the trend there, and I'll go ahead and let you know of it, it's literally 30 points for Embiid, over 5 assists, Sixers W. 4 out of the last 5 games he's done that. 30 points, 5+ assists, Sixers W. My point here, Embiid is averaging 4.5 assists per game in his as far as on the season. That's the highest in his career. He averaged a little over 4 last year, but he's averaging even more. And if you look at this month specifically, November, Joel Embiid is averaging 5.8 assists per game. He's moving the ball around. He's finding the open guys. It's getting the Sixers W's. Obviously, the Sixers have had more success of late, right? Part of that is Embiid getting back into shape, being able to do his normal things as far as scoring, rebounding, defense. But it also requires his vision, his ability to find his teammates when he's getting double, triple team. Milwaukee sent a triple team at him last night in the fourth quarter. What's he do? Stays patient. That's what I love. When Embiid is patient, when he's not all flustered, lacking confidence, just trying to force something, completely patient. He looked like a master of the game. Slows it down. He's like, oh, shake, you wide open under the basket. Let's finish that. Easy. Those are easy buckets. You sit here through these grueling games of the Sixers sometimes, and you ask yourself, there's no way they can keep this up because they just take like these like ridiculously tough shots. Sometimes they make them, sometimes they don't. That's easy basketball. That's sustainable. That's what works. Embiid has to keep this up. 5.8 assists per game in November, 3.3 assists per game in the month of October. Obviously, November's the smaller sample size, but we got to keep this going. Get him up over 5 assists per game. That would be obviously the highest in his career. And once again, I think that is what leads the Sixers to their most successful season. Even when Harden and Maxey and Tobias all come back, you still want Embiid to have his eyes open, looking around, trying to find his teammates. As far as what I've seen from Embiid, at least 4 out of the last 5 games, I would just say the last 5 games because he's in a great stretch right now. He's doing what it takes to win. He's doing everything, right? He's getting active on the defensive end. He stepped that up. Back-to-back 8 assists. Last 3 games, he's had over 6 assists in each game. He's had over 10 rebounds in his last 5. He's had over 25 points in his last 5, and he's won 4 out of the last 5 games. This is successful basketball regardless of who's on the court with him, and it's a good sign. He's leading by example with his play. His energy's up. He's locked in. He's engaged. Another note from the game last night, this is just funny. PJ Tucker had the second highest plus minus. I don't know how you guys feel about PJ Tucker. I'm not going to rule anything out on him until the playoffs. If he plays like this in the playoffs, and it's just like, like, what are we doing? Because right now he's kind of making us undersized. I mean, the rebounding is really struggling, obviously. He's an aggressive player, but just doesn't seem to be fitting exactly the right way right now. Maybe that's because Harden's not out there and he's a piece that fits better around Harden than, say, Embiid. But I'm hoping that something clicks there eventually where we really start to see the benefits of having PJ Tucker. But plus 11 last night, second highest on the team behind Shake Milton, I believe. The next thing, obviously, we already talked about the Maxey injury. That's going to be huge depending on what goes down with him. The Tobias trade talks. I don't know how you guys feel about Tobias. Just feels like the same old to me, man. Every single season, it's like John Collins. It's like Miles Turner. It's like, yeah, you would love to trade Tobias Harris, get that contract off, maybe bring in a young piece or an athletic wing that can play the 3, or, bring in a 3-and-D, like a legit 3-and-D guy, and that would be beautiful. That would be perfect. You shed the contract. You bring in maybe a young, lengthy wing that can actually play the 3. It's not realistic, and it never has been for the last, 2 to 3 years that Sixers fans, everybody's been hammering the table to trade Tobias. And I just don't see why that would all of a sudden pop up and become available now. That's my main thing here. It feels like the same old routine. They're shopping Tobias. Teams are calling. It's too much and not worth it, right? Because as I said at the beginning of the show, I don't see how you can trade Tobias Harris at this point in the season. No desperation, really. There's no trade deadline nearing. No desperation. Mid-season, you're going to trade Tobias Harris for a piece that will make you a better team towards winning right now, because James Harden didn't sign back here to win in 2 years or 3 years and hold it down until he's 37. Like, he didn't do that, right? Embiid doesn't have like 5 years for his window of his peak. Like, it's this year, it's next year, and then that's probably it for those two and that duo and what we're trying to do here with those two. Maxey is obviously the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps you living, but I just don't see it for Tobias. We can talk about a couple deals that I've garnered here. Shout out to Trill Bro Dude for one of them. It's not that it's a good deal. It's just a realistic deal. Do you want this for Tobias Harris? Do you think this is beneficial? Tobias Harris for Tim Hardaway Jr. and Davis Bertans. I do feel this. I feel it. He's the thing with Tobias for me is that he is underutilized, but it's what's best for the team. So he's averaging like 14 points a game this year. I think 6 rebounds, maybe 3 assists. He can do more than that, right? He can be an 18 and 19 point scorer, I would say, even up to maybe the low 20s. He can get that far. We've seen that. But that's not what's best for the Sixers. So by the off chance, the best case scenario, right, is that somebody sees Tobias Harris in this role and they say, nah, we can use him in a bigger role. He can be more than that. Let's trade something good for him, right? He can fit our team better. He can be utilized more fittingly, more comfortably within our roster. The problem is that has not happened. That there's nobody that has approached the Sixers with that thought process and thinking that would be the case. And why risk it on someone else? That's a great point, because Tobias has been through the ringer in Philly. He's been booed. He said things to the crowd and got ridiculed for it. He's brought it back. He's gotten good within the crowd, right? And he is somewhat finding his role. He's a spot-up three-point shooter now. He rebounds, plays good defense, right? It's his leadership that I think we would miss the most, especially right now with no Harden, maybe no Maxey in the short-term future. That's my biggest thing with Tobias Harris right now. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm getting at there, Chile. You only trade Toby if you get exactly what you're looking for. And Chile, I'm sorry if I'm calling you the wrong name. If you want to tell me a better name to call you whenever, because you're always in the comments. I love you. I just want to make sure I'm addressing you with the right name whenever I bring your comments up on the screen here. But yeah, you only trade Tobias if you can bring back exactly what this team is lacking, right? A perfect fit. Chili or Tyler? I got you, bro. Chili works for me. Whatever you prefer, we'll roll with it though. Appreciate that. He has so many roles here. That's the main thing here, Chili. And that's kind of where I'm going. Like, who do you bring in? Maybe you bring in 2 players because he has a fat contract, right? Maybe you bring in 2 players. Are they able to cover the holes that Tobias covers? And then you have to ask yourself, why would you trade 1 player for 2 players to fill the same holes? Like, you want somebody that can do something different. So to your point, athletic defensive wing, maybe can shoot the 3, right? And so I've got together a couple different trade packages that actually do work. So we have Tim Hardaway Jr., Davis Bertans. I wouldn't do that deal, obviously. I wouldn't do that. It's not what I'm looking for. We said athletic defensive wing. Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't play defense. Bertans doesn't play defense. Shout out to Trill Bro, dude. He brought up that point on Twitter. I want to give him his credit where it's due for the NBA trade machine maneuvers. I went to the trade machine myself, tried to work in a few things. So one I came up with here, don't think Minnesota would do it, but they are in a little bit of a desperate situation. They're trying to figure out what works there in Minnesota. A deal that would work. D'Angelo Russell and Jaden McDaniels for Tobias Harris. Like I said, I don't think that Minnesota would do it. I really don't. Think that's a little too much for Tobias. Maybe Tobias in some draft compensation. I don't know. Maybe a young player along with Tobias. Maybe a Matisse and Tobias. All I know is Tobias Harris for D'Angelo Russell. That gives you starting / backup point guard, whatever you want to call him. Don't know that he would be cool with that, quite honestly. And it gives you Jaden McDaniels, an athletic wing. He can play the small forward, power forward. He can shoot. And he can attack. That would give you exactly what you're looking for in an athletic wing. It works financially. I don't know if it works when you talk about the quality of the package for Minnesota. But it's an interesting idea. That is one that I would do. That makes us better, I believe. The other one, hey, this one is really good, Chili. I actually like this one as well. Kevin Huerter has actually he had a little bit of a slump in Atlanta last year. They traded him to Sacramento. He's looking a lot better in Sacramento. He's shooting the ball really well, especially of late. And Harrison Barnes, that's a guy that we've been talking about, an athletic, legit 3-and-D player that would actually fill a nice void on this Sixers team. And he actually plays a small forward position. The final one that I was looking at, This, once again, probably too much for Tobias Harris, I'll be honest, but the money works. That's the biggest thing right now. You have the Atlanta Hawks. They're trying to trade John Collins, right? They're trying to get him out. This has been him and Tobias are in almost a similar standpoint because John Collins doesn't make as much money as Tobias, but they've both been in trade rumors for the last few years, it feels like. And they just never get moved. But you can include John Collins. It would take Bogdanovich to make the financials happen. So once again, you'd probably have to attach something onto Tobias. I don't know if that's a Matisse. Matisse on Atlanta, that might be a good fit for them. They could use him on the defensive end, but you'd bring back John Collins and Bojan Bogdanovich, and I mean that's a solid. Those are solid pieces, right? John Collins, I feel, would fit seamlessly beside Embiid. Just that athleticism at the 4 spot. And then Bogdanovich obviously gives you a pure shooter, right? A guy that can hit from anywhere, can shoot from anywhere. But once again, these are trades where, yeah, they work financially, but is that too much for Tobias Harris? Probably. Yeah, I would say so. So maybe you attach draft comp, whatever the case may be, to Tobias Harris to make those work. But this is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about middle of the pack players for a player that can be better than what he is even doing right now, which right now he fits pretty well, I would say, as far as what they're trying to have him do and what he's providing. It's just a matter of, is Tobias unhappy within his role? Obviously, his scoring is down, his shots are down. Is he happy within his role? Because he needs to be happy in order to be a leader on this team, right? He has to be comfortable within his role. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. If desperation mounts up over the next few weeks, whether that's on the Sixers side or from a side that was interested in Tobias, that could certainly change the path here. That could certainly, get everybody, get things moving here, get the wheels turning on a Tobias move. But as of right now, I just don't see a positive outcome out of doing that at this time in the season, especially with Harden and Maxey down right now. You need Harris right now, right? You need him to get back out there as soon as tonight, quite honestly, against the T-Wolves. So I just don't see it right now, guys. Last few things I wanted to touch on today. As I said, I don't have a ton for you guys today. We just haven't had a ton of action this week, but we certainly got a big week coming up that we're going to be able to dive into all week. I just wanted to talk about the Sixers bench, and, you guys might kill me for this. I'm going to give Doc a little bit of credit. He's pressing the right buttons. Maybe these buttons were forced on him with the injuries, but nonetheless, he pressed the right buttons last night against Utah and ultimately last Saturday against Atlanta. But Shake Milton, the last few games, right? He's been getting some run, and I'll be honest, man, he's playing hard. I'm not seeing as many of the dumb turnovers, the dumb shots lately. And honestly, he gives you another guard that can attack, man. He can attack the paint. He can get his own shot. And that is something the Sixers are lacking right now. Shake Milton last night, 31 minutes, 15 points, 6 assists. It's something to consider, right? Maybe Shake just needs to be in the regular rotation. You mix him in with those guards. You have a 4-guard rotation: Shake, Melton, Maxey, Harden. Maybe that needs to be the rotation just to keep the other guards fresh, right? Melton, you put him in too long, you start to see the wheels come off, I feel. Turnovers, bad decisions, bad shots. So you got to kind of keep him in a limited role. Don't want the same thing for him that we saw with Niang last season, burning out. I don't want to see any of that. So maybe Shake Milton deserves a role within the regular lineup, right? Yeah, when he isn't hurt, he's confident, he looks really good, and he's a great piece to have. It's just when he loses his confidence, gets injured, he's out of the rotation for a little bit, loses his place, his comfortability. But when he starts to lock in and really find his role and find his confidence, he can be a very good piece off the bench. I like that, Chili. The next one, Niang, obviously. I can see we're going to rely on Niang this season again, right? That's what it feels like. It feels like when Niang isn't hitting his three-pointer, the Sixers bench is struggling. Last night he was hitting. He had 17 points in 30 minutes, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. George Niang, it's good and bad that he can be this crucial to a Sixers win, right? Because we're just going to, quite frankly, we're going to need that shooting throughout this season. And he is the most consistent shooter off the bench, probably on the team from the three-point line. In all honesty, he's going to be so crucial just because we haven't seen the consistency from a Daniel House. We haven't seen the consistency from other guys. And George Niang is going to be relied on. Once again, I'm just hoping that this doesn't extend into the latter half of the season and he's just getting, worn out and drained down before we get into the playoffs where things really matter. We need George Niang to have his legs in the playoffs because we're going to need him there for sure. So the Sixers bench showing signs. Obviously, you get Shake Milton in the starting lineup. You get Daniel House in the starting lineup. You get DeAnthony Melton getting starter minutes. So these are all bench pieces, right? Once the regular starters come back, this is good for them too. They're getting to find their feel. They're getting to play with Embiid, which doesn't happen too often, right? So they get to find their spots on the court with Embiid. And what better player to play with Embiid when he's passing the ball the way he is right now, finding open guys? So it's great to see that. They're getting this experience with Embiid, getting a lot more minutes. So then when they're reduced back to their minimal role, they should be able to excel in it and know exactly what to do when they come in on the court. So what I guess I'm trying to get at here is that while the Harden injury, it's fucking terrible. I hate it. I'll be honest. I'm trying to find a positive in the tumultuous negative here. The Maxey injury, I fucking hate that. Like literally, he is the sunshine of this team. He is the sun. He's the smiling ray of sunshine for this Sixers team. That is Tyrese Maxey, and I hate to see him go down, but this could be a blessing in disguise. That is the one way I can spin this in an optimist take. It could be a blessing in disguise because these guys get some time to figure themselves out, figure out what they're required to do within this rotation. And then once their role gets reduced back to where it should be, they should be able to fall right into place and know exactly what they need to do when they come into the game, what they're good at, right? The final note here, I shouldn't say the final note. We'll take a look at the upcoming schedule. But Harden, he's out there throwing the football. Yeah, it didn't look too bad. And let me know, Chili, if anything has came out on Maxey recently. I know he's getting the MRI today. We've been live for close to 50 minutes now, so I definitely could have missed something while I've been on here. But yeah, it didn't look too awful. He just looked like he rolled his ankle, right? 4 weeks, to get right. And you don't want to bring him out too early. But then I guess my question to you, what do you do at the guard spot? Because I just don't think you can roll with Shake Milton and DeAnthony Melton as your two guards. You're going to need at least one more guard. Maybe Korkmaz comes back. That's your ball handler. I don't know. That's good. So no structural damage, just hopefully a sprain and not too severe. Hopefully get him back 3 to 4 weeks, fully healthy. What do you do at that guard spot? Is it Jaden Springer? Do you give him a shot? I mean, you give him a shot, right? I would activate him tonight if he's not already activated. Get him up on the active roster, and you use him as your third guard. See what he's got tonight, maybe as a tryout. If it doesn't work out, maybe you go and see what veterans are available in the free agent market. See if you can bring anybody in on maybe a 10-day con. I don't know how that works financially, but I would imagine if he goes on injured, if he goes off on the injury list, then they should be able to pick somebody up. But I could be totally wrong there. I'm interested to see what they'll do at the third guard spot. But that being said, so maybe he's injured too. Man, that's really bad. Trevelin Queen would be nice in that case, right? G League MVP from last year, but we'll see how that goes, how that works itself out. Maybe Tobias has to run a little bit of point forward. Don't know if that's the best suggestion, but we'll see. We'll see. That's what Tobias is here for, though, right? If guys are down, he needs to step up and kind of excel even further, right? That's what he's here for. But the Harden return has to be within a few weeks, right? He's out here throwing the football. He's in shorts, sneakers. He's shooting around in the gym. He's with everybody at practice. He's going to the games, right? He's in this on the sideline at the games. Hopefully no setbacks. That's all I wanted to say regarding James Harden. I see the videos. I see him working out. Please no setbacks. Please. We need him back as soon as possible. Not only just because of this situation with Maxey, not only because, the guards and the Sixers need to win games. They need to figure out how to play together, him and Embiid, and how they can win together. What's the most optimal way for them to coincide on this Sixers team and win games? And they need a good part of this season to do that before they get to the playoffs, so that we're not going through this again in the playoffs and trying to reincorporate. So I really want to see Harden get back as soon as possible. Obviously, don't want him to jump the gun, right? Don't want any setbacks. I don't want any extended time. But it would be nice to see him back as soon as possible, quite honestly. And, obviously bodes well for the Sixers' future and what they got going on. Let's take a look at the next week of basketball, what we're looking at here, the upcoming schedule for the Philadelphia 76ers. So as you know, tonight we have the Minnesota Timberwolves coming to town. I just mentioned a mock trade where you send Tobias for D'Angelo Russell and Jaden McDaniels. Maybe take a look at those guys tonight. See what you guys think about that mock trade. Maybe they'll hire me as GM and I'll get it done for you. But no, T-Wolves is going to be an interesting game tonight. They're a team that are trying to figure out their chemistry, trying to figure out exactly how they want to play basketball and what fits well with Rudy Gobert, Cat, all of those guys, and Edwards. This is going to be interesting tonight. You're going to have Rudy Gobert, who will spend a good amount of time on Embiid tonight. If he's playing, I honestly haven't taken a look at the injury report for the Utah Jazz or the Sixers. It's hard to say if Embiid will be playing on the tail end of a back-to-back as well as Tobias playing. I'm not going to give any predictions too in-depth tonight. But you got the T-Wolves at the Wells Fargo Center tonight. You get the Brooklyn Nets at the Wells Fargo Center on Tuesday. That's obviously a huge game. It could be Ben Simmons returning to the Wells Fargo Center for the first time in regular season play. So you definitely want to see the Sixers get geared up for that game. That's going to be a big one. Then you got a back-to-back that night, the next day, I should say, the Hornets. So you have the Hornets coming to the Wells Fargo Center that Wednesday, the day after they play the Nets. And then on Friday, they go back on the road and head to Orlando to take on the Magic. So looking over at this next week of basketball, just minor predictions. I always like to give my predictions on Saturday for the upcoming week. So tonight, I'll go ahead and get in front of it. I do think this is a loss tonight, despite the chemistry, the trajectory that this team is on right now. They've won 3 in a row, 3 big wins. Let's be honest. Bucks, they're 11-4 right now. The Jazz, I believe they've dropped like 3 or 4 in a row, so they're probably around 10-5, 10-6, maybe even 10-7. Still above 500. They're in the playoff mix. And then the Atlanta Hawks, who are up in the top 4 of the Eastern Conference standings right now, and they have over 10 wins. So you got 3 quality wins. And then if you want to even go back before that other Hawks game, you had the win against Phoenix as well at home. You need to go on the road this week and start that trip in Orlando with a W as well. Get everything right on the road. But I think tonight you start with an L to the T-Wolves. I think the Maxey injury, you were able to boost off adrenaline last night. It sounds like Doc really got the guys going at halftime. Giving a little bit of credit to Doc here today, as you can see. Sounds like he got the guys going at halftime from what George Niang said about him after the game, basically saying that, he looks at who's in the locker room, not who's out right now, not who's injured. He's looking at what we have. He's never addressing what we don't have. And I think that's a great way to look at things when you got a lot of injuries piling up on you. So T-Wolves tonight, I think that's an L. Maybe Tobias plays. Who knows if Embiid plays on the tail end of the back-to-back. Maxey will not play, obviously. They're going to be down a few guys. T-Wolves, they're in a similar situation. They need to get W's. So I don't think that they're going to come out slacking tonight, even though it's on the road. They're going to try to come out here and make a show, right? This is a Philadelphia 76ers. It's a primetime game on a Saturday. They're going to come out and play hard tonight. I think the Sixers drop this one. Just too beat up. Nets on Tuesday. Sixers get that adjustment period, right? So today, right, you have to go through this adjustment period, figure out how you're going to play without Tyrese Maxey. I think they go through that tonight. Maybe Tobias Harris gets reincorporated tonight. Bodes well for Tuesday against the Nets, who I think the Sixers get this W, barring any further injuries. Obviously, Maxey won't be back. Harden won't be back for that one either. But nonetheless, you're at home. It's a big game against the Nets. You get a few days off after this game tonight. And I think they go in there kind of with a new identity. They work out the kinks and hopefully, look a little bit better than what they do tonight as far as losing Maxey. I think they get the W on Tuesday against the Nets. Quite frankly, it's going to be Embiid versus KD, similar to what we saw in this game. Maybe Kyrie's back for that game. That would honestly change the perspective a little bit. But as of right now, I'll go with the Sixers W against the Nets on Tuesday. Wednesday, you got the Hornets. LaMelo Ball kind of working his way back in to their rotation, getting back to what he does there in Charlotte. I think this is a win for the Sixers. Once again, matchup issue with Embiid. It opens up the court. And the way he's playing right now, the team is feeding off that. It doesn't matter who's on the court as long as you guys can hit open shots. Friday in Orlando, once again, need to right the ship on the road. I think that's a win in Orlando. So ultimately, drop this one tonight, right, against the T-Wolves. Go 3-1 over the next week. What? They're 8-7 right now. 3 wins. They would be 11-8. I'll take that coming out of this week. Whether it's a loss to the Nets, a loss to the T-Wolves tonight, whatever the case may be, 3-1 week would bode well for my confidence of this team going forward. And, hopefully getting them through this hump, because the main thing here, you need to beat the Hornets and Magic, right? I know you don't have Maxey, you won't have Harden. We'll see what Tobias Harris is looking like with the sore hip. But Hornets and Magic, those are the games you need to win, even when you don't have those guys, to make up for the games that you just can't win because you don't have enough talent. You don't have your guys out there. So got to win those later games against the Hornets and the Magic for sure. We'll see how the T-Wolves and Nets go over the next 2 games. But guys, that was an awesome show. It was very enjoyable to kind of go over this last week of limited Sixers action, but nonetheless successful, inspiring, and confidence-building Sixers action. I want to thank Chili for stepping in the comments. My man HP, thank you for stepping in the comments here. And everybody else that decided to stop by for the Scotty Talks Sixers episode. It's fun. Every Saturday, guys, I will be here around 10 a.m. You know I'm a little late bird. So around 10 a.m., anywhere from 10 a.m. to 10:15, I will be going live, and I will be right here with you each and every week to break down this Sixers action. Before we get out of here, a little bit of housekeeping, as always, guys. If you're not already subscribed to DSM Media, be sure to subscribe. Make sure you're helping us out. Whoa, why did my comments go away? Hey, shout out to Pastor Rims. Yes, sir. Hey, Chili, have a great Saturday, my brother. I appreciate you checking in here today. Thank you, Pastor Rims. Have a great Saturday, my brother. Same to HP. Everybody else out there viewing, thank you for the awesome comments. It was fun. Yes, but subscribe to DSM Media. Help us grow. Turn the notifications on. Ring the bell. If you're from Philly, you get the reference. So you're notified every time DSM Media goes live. And, of course, as you can see, everybody that's commented today, we get them involved in the show. We make sure they're heard. And we have some fun. We talk about things. That's what we're here to do. That's what this is all about. But, guys, have a great rest of your Saturday. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let's go Sixers tonight. Let's make it 4 in a row. I know I picked a loss. Let's make it 4 in a row. Let's prove the doubters wrong, right? Even myself. Guys, that's going to be it for this episode of Scotty Talks Sixers. Have a great Saturday. Make sure to follow DSM Media on all social media platforms. And you can find myself at Scotty Drown on all social media platforms. Go Sixers. Have a great Saturday, guys. Peace.
Artest looking, gets to the front.